What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we'll be checking out the new Echoes artifact, the Hunter's Journal. We'll be looking into each of the new mods that this artifact will introduce, and how you can use each of these to your advantage when taking on those new missions, the new raid, and all the other new content. There are 25 total mods included in this new artifact, but you'll only be able to have a maximum of 12 of these equipped at once. There are quite a few that cater towards the use of prismatic subclasses, but you'll also find several that improve the performance of void and kinetic weapons, and even swords. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this new artifact has to offer. In the first column, we have a series of champion-oriented mods, including anti-barrier pulse rifles, unstoppable sidearms, unstoppable scout rifles, overload hand cannons, and anti-barrier SMGs. Pulse rifles will be getting an increase in overall base damage, so I love the fact that they'll also be getting anti-barrier mods. The unstoppable sidearm mod is going to be nasty when used with those rocket sidearms, like the Indebted Kindness and the Call. I'm not a big fan of overload hand cannons, and the only other overload mod that's in this artifact is overload swords, which is found in the third column. This means players will have to become more reliant on abilities and exotic weapons like La Monarch and Divinity to be able to stun those overload champions. In the second column, we have Logic Reductor. Weapons that have Radiolaria Transposer, which is a new origin trait, will deal bonus damage to Vex. This will include all of the Vex-themed weapons from Echoes, and this will increase your damage against any Vex enemy, including those found in Vault of Glass. We have Overcharged Armory, which is going to automatically overcharge weapons that have the Sundering, Collective Purpose, Radiolaria Transposer, or Dealer's Choice origin traits. This will grant those weapons increased damage, but this will only be in effect when in an activity that offers the overcharge modifier, which will be activities like Master Dungeon and raids, Nightfalls, and legendary missions, and legendary law sectors. The Elemental Charge authorized mod brings the cost of the Elemental Charge mod down from 3 to 1. Elemental Charge will periodically grant armor charges as you collect different elemental pickups, like Stasis Shards, Tangles, or Fire Sprites. Saint's Inspiration will grant any weapon that has the Cast No Shadows origin trait to be able to overflow their magazines whenever this trait activates. Weapons that include this trait will be all of the revised Season of the Dawn weapons, like the Perfect Paradox. Starting off in the third column, we have Elemental Siphon, which should prove to be extremely beneficial towards builds that spam abilities. Rapid Final Blows with any kinetic weapon, or any weapon that matches your selected super, will create an elemental pickup that will match the energy of that super. So if you were, for example, to have Nova Bomb equipped while on a Prismatic Warlock build, Rapid Final Blows with Void weapons would generate Void Breaches, which would intrinsically grant bonus melee energy. But if you were going with Needle Storm, getting kills with the Quicksilver, you would get Tangles instead. We've got a new mod called Creeping Chill. Whenever you defeat slowed or frozen enemies with a stasis weapon, those enemies will release a burst of slow that will affect any nearby enemy. This should prove to be pretty effective with any stasis weapon, but those that include Headstone and Chill Clip will be really powerful. We've got Press the Advantage as our next new mod. Breaking an opponent's shield grants increased weapon stability, handling, and reload speed. This also gives increased guard resistance. I can see this becoming pretty effective in the Crucible, but I really like this towards boss damage, especially in Ghost of the Deep. And the nice thing about this mod is that there's no restrictions on how those shields have to break, which means this will activate even if our abilities cause shields to break. Next up, we have Threaded Blast, which will benefit Strand and Prismatic builds, as it will cause the explosions from Tangles to be larger and deal more damage. This will work out very nicely with the Elemental Siphon mod, since we would be able to create twice as many Tangles. Next, we have the Counter Energy mod, but you'll only be able to use this when champions are present. This works just like the Absolution Armor mod, granting your least charge ability with bonus energy whenever you or an ally stun a champion. We've got Blade Stamina, which will improve the ammo economy for swords, as rapidly defeating enemies with a sword will refund a small amount of ammo. Since swords have the option of stunning overload champions, this would come in handy to ensure that you always have enough ammo. Our next artifact mod is a tongue twister called Void Hegemony, and to those who don't know what it means, it translates as Void Superiority. This will provide some huge benefits when running a Void or a Prismatic subclass. Defeating weakened targets provides a small Void overshield. This will most likely be a 10 or a 15% overshield, but it would be granted off of each weakened enemy. So if you defeat enough enemies at once, you'd have as much as a 100-point overshield that would stick around for between 5 and 8 seconds. Our next mod, called Radiant Orbs, will provide benefits when running solar or prismatic subclasses, and it will grant you with radiance every time you pick up an orb. And I like this a lot better than Flint Striker, since all you've got to do is pick up an orb, and bam, you've got a 20% bonus in damage, and the ability to pierce barrier shields. The last mod in the fourth column is Galvanic Armor. While you have an arc or prismatic subclass equipped, any incoming damage from combatants will be reduced whenever you're amplified. It's unclear how much damage resistance this will provide, but I would assume it will be between 15 and 20%. And this could see the Exdaris becoming a really powerful exotic option, since it grants you with the amplified buff after final blows. And now we move on to the fifth column, where you'll only be able to have at most 2 of these mods equipped at the same time. And the first mod that we have is Prismatic Transfer, and this is going to work much like the Ballador's exotic gauntlets. Whenever you cast your super, each member of your fire team that has a different subclass equipped, or in the case of Prismatic, a different super type equipped, those teammates will gain a bonus in weapon damage. This could be anywhere between 15% and 25%. And if timed out properly, this could provide the entire team with bonus damage throughout any dungeon or raid damage phase. We've got Argent Blade, which will work just like Argent Ordnance. Whenever we have armor charges active, our swords will gain an increase in charge rate and an increase in damage. If this works out just like Argent Ordnance, then it will be a 15% bonus, but that will be per hit, and each hit will consume an armor charge. And I think it's safe to say that Bungie really wants us to use swords right now, which I really don't have a problem with. Next up, we have Expanding Abyss. So any source of void damage, whether it's weapons or abilities, will deal increased damage to any weakened enemy. Between Void Hegemony and Expanding Abyss, hunters are rejoicing over the power that their Gerfalcon Hauberk builds are about to have. And this will also open up the door for exotics like the Collective Obligation, Luminarch, Leviathan's Breath, Wave Splitter, and Buried Bloodline to all be dominating exotics. Moving on, we have the Shield Crush mod. Whenever we have Woven Mail, Frost Armor, or a Void Overshield, our melee energy will recharge faster, and it'll deal bonus damage. That's a pretty exciting prospect for all the Strand Titans out there. And while we are amplified or radiant, our grenades will recharge faster, and they'll deal bonus damage. So we're getting 2 stackable benefits out of 1 mod. And since it's possible to have both Radiant Orbs and Void Hegemony equipped at the same time, this could really result in some seriously overpowered performance. And next we have our last artifact mod called Transference. This only provides a benefit when using a prismatic subclass, and it's going to increase our melee and grenade damage while we are transcendent. And when we are transcendent, all weapon final blows will refund light and dark energy, and we'll see that after transcendence ends. But there you have it, folks, all 25 of the new Hunter's Journal artifact mods. I'm sure there are plenty of players out there who are still butthurt over losing Solo Operative. But honestly, with all the damage bonuses that these artifact mods are providing, along with all the new powers that we'll have with Prismatic, I think we're going to be stronger than ever. And I think this might be the craziest and most exciting lineup of artifact mods that we've seen since Void 3.0. But what are your thoughts about these new artifacts? Which do you feel will make the biggest impact? And do these mods make you want to use a different subclass than you were originally planning? Let us know down in the comments below. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit the like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. If you're a new Light Guardian just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran just looking for a new home, then be sure to check out the Discord link in the description below and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.